Hope everybody had an enjoyable Chol Hamoed.
It's already a few days after you.
Yeah. There you go. Well, you're in your sukkah by 8:30, so that's not bad. Can't complain, right?
Not complaining.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so we're on the top of Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. Yeah, if you lose me, somebody just text me or call me if I get lost with the service. Yeah, so we're talking about the Amud trying to getting her kesuba, selling property for the kesuba, and selling property for her money, etc., etc. So saying Ayi Yitzah, second line down, Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. Ayi Yitzah. There was a woman, the Tafsa Kisa the Kasa the Kaspa Subasa. What she did is she went to the Yerusha from her husband, and she grabbed, literally Tafsa means she grabbed a silver kois, which Rashi says was not worth the amount of her kesuba. Yeah, and some say that the, what do you call it? The Taisus Rid over here on the side says that it was even before he died, right? So, anyways, so either way, she took it. So katava bezaini. So that she took for her kesuba. So she grabbed the silver coins for her kesuba. Then she said she went to the Yisaimim and she said, "I need money for food." So also come at the Rava. They came in front of Rava. Amalu liyasmi zilu. Amalu liyasmi said to the Yisaimim, "Zilu havala mezainis. Give her mezainis. Lest the chashla la der Shimon the Amar, because there's nobody that's chayshiv with Reb Shimon in the previous Mishna who said lo yamrina mixas kesef kol kesef, and we don't say that partial kesef is like the whole kesef. Meaning, we said Reb Shimon held that if you do a partial payment, so then it's like the full payment, and he said we don't pasken like that. So therefore, since we don't pasken like that, so therefore they have to, even though she only got a partial payment. Not even though, since she only got a partial payment, she's allowed to go collect for the rest of it. Not like Reb Shimon, who says once she took something, then that's all she gets. Fine. So Shalach the Rabba Braid the Rabba Rav Yosef. So let's say a woman does sell her what do you call it? Her she sells her husband's belongings in order to pay her kesuba. Does she need to swear, or does she not need to swear? Meaning, does she need to swear that whatever amount of money she got for the land? Meaning, these Yisraelim are obviously not happy with this woman selling their land in order to pay for her kesuba and pay for her support. They're very unhappy with that. So the question is, can they make her swear that the amount of money she tells them, yeah, I got $100 for the property or whatever, 100 zuz, 200 zuz, whatever it is, and they say, what do you mean? She probably got a lot more. So does she have to swear to that or not? So I'm going to ask, why don't you ask whether she needs to announce it, right? Meaning, when somebody sells somebody else's field, so they have to make an announcement. So I'm not worried about hachraza. That's not a question to me. Why? That she evaluated her own land, meaning she decided how much the land is worth. She did nothing. We don't trust her, right? Even though she got the evaluation of the field. Yeah, so what's the case? If she called out that she was selling land and she decided that she's going to take it and pay for it or whatever it is, she's going to keep it, why don't she do nothing? She announced it, right? Ella lav the loyachras must be that she didn't call it out. And only if she's going to keep it herself did she do nothing. But But for somebody else, then what she did. All right. So whatever it is, you see from this that she does not have to announce to people that this property is for sale. The almana could just decide to take the property for herself. She's not required to do achraza. But the question is, does she have to swear to the assignment or to the yarshim that how much exactly she got or she plans on getting for these properties of her husband's that she's selling? So Gemara says, "La'ilam da achraz." We're talking about really where she did do achraza. Uda amri la man shamlech. Who evaluated for you? Ki hai da hu gavra dafkidu gabe kisses the yasmi. It's similar to this guy who they kept by him. They kept by him kisses. I don't know exactly what that is. I think it's like cow food or animal food or something like that. Anybody have a mitzvah? Yeah, it's some sort of grain, right? So he was watching onto it, watching it. Also,
the article calls it fodder. Fodder.
Yeah.
The fodder that they left by him.
I don't know what exactly is fodder.
Coral wood.
So what does that mean? So fodder grain, no?
Yeah.
Coral wood. All right. I don't know which one I understand more. That's what he was watching. He was watching this junk for the assignment. And he evaluated for himself that it's worth 400 zuz ayakar, but then the price went up and come b'shismeya, and then it became worth 600. Also, they came in front of Rabbi Ami. He asked the guy who was watching it for the assignment, who evaluated for you, right? Right. So since you did it for yourself, so it doesn't work, and therefore you are not going to profit that 200. Again, when he evaluated, it was worth 400. Then it went up to 600. So they said, you evaluated yourself. You had nothing to do with Bezdin or anything. So who's to trust you, right? So therefore, you see that we're never going to trust anybody when they're doing their own evaluations. What's the halacha? She needs to swear. So almana, when she sells karka for her kesuba, she does not need to call it out. She doesn't have to make it public, the sale. She could just pay for it for herself. But she does have to make a shvua to the yarshim exactly how much she paid. Okay, fine. That's the not so gishmak. This next Mishnah actually has a lot of practical halachic implications. I'll just say the shaila that comes up that we could possibly get a psak from this. It comes up in a couple of ways. One of the ways is basically when you send out a shliach to buy you something, and then grocery store have to be on sale. All right, it was only 15. You didn't know. You thought it was 20. It was 15. Can the shliach keep the $5, or does he have to give it back to the guy that sent him? The most common shaila that I hear about this thing is you got a bunch of guys splitting an Uber, and the Uber price comes up, and the Uber is worth, it's, let's say, a $30 ride, and the 4 guys say they're going to split it, or 3 guys say they're going to split it, and then Uber kicks in a coupon to the guy, right? And he gets the 10% off, 20% off. Does he have to kick back that coupon to the guys, or can you just take the money that they were willing to spend?
If I have a discount at the supermarket and you ask me to get you something, so if I use my account number, I get a discount.
Right.
Do I have to pass that on to you?
Right.
Exactly. I have a different child.
Very good. That's another.
You're a Costco executive.
That's right. That's another ramification of the shiloh.
Do you have to pay Costco for your carpets?
I have a different shiloh that I have right now that I'm dealing with something. I meant to ask you about it. This thing. If I'm paying a bill on my credit card, do I have to split my miles with my partners?
It's probably its interest, no?
I don't know. That might, that's
Rivers.
similar shiloh. That's a similar shiloh.
That's not ribbit.
It could be. It's ribbit. No, I don't think. It's not. He's not borrowing money from his partners. He's not borrowing.
No,
he's just getting it as a bonus. But that's a good point. Do you have to, if a business and you have the card, do you have to split the points? Or let's say you're right. If you are in a business and you get miles on your credit card and the business kicks you back the money. So now, do you get the miles? Does it go to the business?
That's what I'm asking you. Like,
yeah. It's mamish. This
Gemara, you wrote that miles doesn't go under Meiser.
With all these scenarios.
Doesn't miles not count as Meiser?
It does. What do you mean? You have to. You do have to.
You wrote you don't have to take Meiser off, meaning if you book your miles.
Because miles is not money. Cash back you have to give Meiser. Miles you don't, because you only have to give Meiser on money. So if you get cash back, you have to give Meiser. If you're just taking flights, you don't have to give Meiser.
Why? Miles is
anyway, so
no?
It's Shava Kesuba, but it's not. The Meiser is not Kesuba. We pasken. Most pasken. If somebody gives you a present, somebody brings you a challah board, right, for Yom Tif, you don't have to take Meiser off the challah board, right? So they give you airline points. So that's using it for the airline. You sell the points, then you have to take off Meiser. Either way, it's a different shaila. The shaila is who's
Aaron, Zebi's going to want some of those miles.
Then no, but the shaila can work the other way also, where the shliach batches, right? You tell him go buy it on sale, and he misses the day, he misses the sale. Now he has to pay more. Can he go back and ask the mishaleach to pay the extra money, or can the guy say, no, I gave you $20 to buy it from you, $20, right? All right, so let's see. So who's now? So just to apply it here, what does this have to do with an almana? So basically, what this has to do with an almana is that the Yisayimim have to pay, right? The inheritors have to pay on behalf of their father. They have to pay her kesuba. Now, if she goes and sells the field, essentially what she's doing is she's doing the Yisayimim's job. She's the shliach of the Yisayimim, right? Yisayimim have to pay her from the estate. By she going and selling the fields, she becomes the shliach of the Yisayimim, of the Yarshim, to get her money to pay for her kesuba. So let's say she messes up in the deal. Let's see. Almana shaisa kesuba masayim. We have an almana whose kesuba was worth 200. Umachra shava mana b'masayim. And she, no comments about women doing business, right? But she went and sold a field that was worth 100, and she sold it for 200, right? Which is a good deal. That's a good deal, right? She sold a field that really was only worth 100, but she got 200 from it, right? So there she actually profited. Or the opposite. She took a field worth 200 bimana and she only got 100. So now niskabla ksubasa, in both cases she got her ksuba and that's it. Meaning in the first case, she could say, hey, I got the extra 100. That had nothing to do with the assignment. You still owe me another field worth 100. Just because I suckered a guy to pay double the price, that has nothing to do with you. You still owe me another field of 100. That's in the first case. And the second case is she could say, bottom line is, I made a mistake, but you owe me 200. I only got 100. So either way, the Mishna is pasking in both cases. The kesuba is niskabel, and then she's done. All right. That's case number one. Case number two, as kesuba mana, for kesuba was worth 100. Umachra shava mana, the dinar, right? The dinar per mana. If she sold the property of 100 worth 100 zuz, but she also sold an extra dinar for a mana, meaning she sold more than she should have. Right? Again, her kesuba was 100. She sold a field for 100 plus a dinar for 100. So then machra batal, then her sale is batal. Afilu hi emeres achser dinar liyashim mechra batal. Even if she says, okay, I'll give back the dinar, meaning she took too much. She wasn't supposed to. She was only supposed to sell the field worth 100. She went and sold the field plus a dinar. The mechira is batal. And even if she says, okay, I'll give you back the dinar, no, it's no good. The whole mechira was no good. That's according to the Tanakh. shetashayir, right? There's only the mechira is kayim, unless there's going to be enough that that there's going to be left over. How much? Besode bas tesha kavin, in a field that has to have at least 9 kavin, meaning that's a measurement of how big the field that has to be left over. Ubagina bas chatzi kavin, in a garden, a half a kav. Rebbe Kiva base Raiva, according to Rebbe Kiva base Raiva, meaning what the Mishna is saying, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's shita is that if she took enough of land, extra land, that whatever she's going to give back is going to be immaterial because it's not big enough to do anything with it, right? So then the mechira is going to work. It's only not going to work if the leftover land is going to be big enough for them to actually do something, in which case then the mechira is bottom. Fine. And the last case is her kesuba was worth 400 zuz, right? Which we, if you remember correct, and we said that for daughters of Kehanim get 400, their kesubas are 400 zuz. So her kesuba was worth 400 zuz. And she sold this field for 100 and this field for 100. The Mishnah leaves out that she sold a third field for 100, so she has 300 so far. And then Ula'achar on the fourth field to knock her up to 400, Yafem Mana Dinar b'Mana. It was worth 100, but she went over and sold an extra dinar's worth. So Shal Achran Batal v'Shakulan Mechran Kayim. The last one is Batal, and the other ones, their Mechira is Kayim. Right, meaning so the first, because she had a kesuba of 400 zuz. She sold 4 different properties to pay for it. The first 3 she sold for 100 each, and then the fourth one she oversold, meaning she sold too much. So we're going to say that each one is its own sale, and the fourth one, because she oversold, it doesn't work. All right, so we'll see on Beis exactly what the Gemara is going to want to prove from that. Okay, so the Gemara says. Gemara asks, so what's the difference if the field was worth 200 and she sold it for 100? The Amri law, because the Yasaimim, the Yarshim would say to her, you lost it for yourself. We gave you a field worth 200. You went and sold it for 100. What does that have to do with us? You lost the money. We did what we had to do. We gave you a field worth 200. You only sold it for 100. That's your loss. So why can't she say to them, hey, you gave me a field of 100 because I sold it for 200. That was my business. I made an extra 100. That doesn't mean that you're potter. You still owe me another field. So on days, Kan Shana Rebbe. So now from this, Rebbe is teaching us Hakol Lebal HaMois. Everything goes to the owner of the mois. Right? So Rashi says, what's the case? Somebody sends his shliach to the shuk. This is what we were discussing before. In order to get schayra, and he bought it for cheap. He bought it for cheaper than the guy who was sending him expected. So then everything goes. When he got it cheaper, the shliach does not get to keep the difference. The shliach has to give the money all back to the Baal Hamois, to the one that sent him. And he can't say, the shliach can't say, hey, I made the profit. You expected to pay $10 a pound. I went to the shuk and I handled the guy because I'm a shrewd fellow and I knocked it down to $9 a pound. That was my own gain. We don't say that. That's what our Mishna is telling us. Let's say the shliach goes and he goes to the store and the store owner gives him an extra piece. Let's use a mashal of bagels. You send the guy to go get you a dozen bagels, and the guy comes back and he says, the guy gave me an extra bagel. The store owner gives the shliach, he says, I like you, I'm giving you an extra bagel. Does he have to give that extra bagel back to the guy who sent him, or can the shliach, the guy who's buying the bagels, keep that extra bagel? So we're saying, according to Reb Yehuda, if he added on one extra, hakol the shliach, everything goes to the shliach. Divrei Reb Yehuda. So Shitas Reb Yehuda is that taka, the shliach gets to keep the extra one. Rabbi Yossi says no, they have to split it. Right? They have to split, meaning the guy sending him and the guy that went to buy it splits it. Tanya, the Gemara asks, Rabbi Yossi, everything goes to the guy who has the money, the guy who sent the shliach. One is talking about with something that has a set price. So if it has a set price, so Rashi says it's talking about kitnius, which will come up in tomorrow's daf, right? So kitnius that gets sold in a store, it's with the measurement, right? So it's a set price. So Mamela, since it's a set price, so since it's a set price, so therefore, I'm just looking at the Rashi, make sure I'm saying it over right, not backwards. So therefore, you have to split it. If it's a set price, you have to split it because it's a present. But kam b'davar she'ein lo kitzva, but it was something that doesn't have a set price. So Rashi says it's talking about clothing and vegetables and these types of things. So they have to weigh it and they have to measure it. So sometimes the guy will sell it for a little cheaper, right? So but that's really he's selling it. That's part of his sale.
It's not impossible to find something today that has a fixed price ever.
We have the commodity. It's like the commodity exchange. Like you can look at that and say beans and wheat, and barley, and all these things, these products have a fixed price on the commodity exchange. Like if you want to buy it, you have to go to this exchange, and that's the price. Real estate is opposite.
But the commodity is changing also every day.
No, but it's a fixed.
No, I don't think it means, maybe I didn't explain it right. I don't think it means that the price is being changed. The prices fluctuate always. It's how it's sold. Is it sold by the piece, or is it sold by weight and something? If something that's sold by the piece, so then we're saying, okay, so the seller gave an extra piece. So then they have to split it, right? But if it's something that's sold with that doesn't have it doesn't get sold by the piece, then we say that the owner is giving it to the guy who's giving him the money. So therefore, it all goes to the boss. That's what I think the Gemara is saying.
That's not a fixed price. That's a fixed unit of measurement.
Yeah. So that's Enochanami. That's probably a better way to say it. It's a better way to say it that way. Yeah. That's a good way of saying it. Okay. So how does this get back to our sugya? So when the almana did the mechira for too much money, right? So therefore, he would say, Rabbi Yossi says it goes to the assignment, to the yoshim, right? Because karka is doesn't get sold by the piece. It depends on the karka, and they weigh it, measure. Well, obviously, don't weigh it, measure it, etc., right? So therefore, that's why we're saying that it does not go to the almana, right? The extra money does not go to the almana. Right? Fine. So how do we pasken? If something has set prices and it doesn't go with weights and etc., chalkin, that they have to split. If the shliach comes back with extra stuff from the marketplace, they have to split it. Davar sheyesh she'ein lo kitzva, but if something that does not have a kitzva, kol balamois, then everything goes to the balamois. Then everything goes to the owner. That's how we pasken. So this is my kamashma. What's the chiddush here, right? That we paskening like Rabbi Yossi. So really, we always pasken like Rabbi Yossi. Says no shnuyu the shninan shnuyu. The answer that we said, because it was a steer on Rabbi Yossi. One place it seemed to be saying that he split it, and one place it seems to be saying that it goes to the owner. So we're saying that the answer that we gave, that it depends on what type of product the shliach is selling, is buying. So then that's what's going to make the difference. Bottom line is as far as I know, this is the way we paskin, straight up like this. So the shliach, it really depends on what the guy's buying, whether he's allowed to keep it or not. So I'm assuming a bagel, if the guy goes to the store and the guy gives her an extra bagel, then he gets to keep the bagel. He does not have to give it to the guy. I think most things like that nowadays, right? You send a guy to the store and he gets it on sale, right? So does he get to keep it? Most things it's like a set price. Well, then it should really split, right? According to Rav Yossi, the most you're going to do is split it, right?
The case in the Mishna the Gemara is discussing is talking about land. Is that a fixed price?
Land is considered, no, but it gets sold. Land gets sold by, how do you call it? It's not a, no, land is not a fixed price.
It's sold by acre.
Well, it's going to, but it's also going to be telling you what's in the land and how all that type of thing. It's not a fixed price. Land is not a fixed price.
So right?
Something that's
profit?
No, something that's not, no. According to Rabbi Yossi, when it's not a fixed price, then it all goes to the owner, to the money guy. All goes to the money guy when it's not a fixed price. When it is a fixed price, then they have to split it. So I guess the truth is they'd have to split the bagel. The guy gets an extra bagel, then they'd have to split it, according to Rav Yossi. Right? Which is where we pasken. Fine. Okay, so Yibaylahu, then they had another shayla. Amar lei, right? The guy told his shliach, Zavin li lischa, sell me a lesech. Right? So Rashi says a lesech is a chatzi kur, half a kur. Sell a half a kur of my fields. Bazel was Zavin le kura, and he goes and he sells a whole kur. So he doubles the guy's sale. Right? So what's the din? Moisef al dvaravu, what was he doing? Was he just adding on to the sale? The less chamia kani, and the guy who bought half of it is kainet. Idilma, meaning if this that he sold double what the guy wanted, is that sale a valid sale? Do we, basically, Gemara is going to ask, do we wipe out the whole sale? Because we say the shliach just totally disregarded what the guy told him, or do we say no? At least the half that he was told to do counts, right? So was he just adding on to what he was told, and the person should at least get the lesser? Or maybe he was just totally passing over his words, and the guy doesn't even get the lesser. Right? Meaning when the guy comes, when this owner, the seller comes and he finds out from the agent, he could say, you know what, forget this whole deal. Or does he not have the right to say that? He can make him go back on the second half of the field, but not the first half of the field. So Amar Rav Yaakov and Harpakoid, Mishmedu Rabina, Tashema, we have in a price. So Amar Balabayas, the Balabayas said to his shliach, 10 len chaticha le'orchen. Right? Give a piece of food to the guests. Right? Says, go give a piece of meat, Rashi says to the guests. Who Aimer? Tlushtayim. And the waiter goes and gives each guest 2 pieces. Not lusholish. And then the guests took 3 pieces. So again, the owner said to the shliach, to the waiter, give him a piece. He went and said to everybody, take 2 pieces. And then they themselves went and took 3 pieces. Now then it comes out that they made a mistake, and all these meats were hektish. So now we know the din by hektish is if somebody by mistake eats hektish, so that's a isser of meila, right? So who's chayiv here? Are they all 3 chayiv? So what's the deal? So the Gemara says yes, kulan malu, they all were over on meila, right? So because again, meila is something is when you use something with mikdash that's without kavanah. So what's the din? So he has to pay back plus you have to add a 5th. Right? So who's going to be chayiv here? So meaning the one that took it from the hektish is always the one that's chayiv. So who's chayiv? So we're saying all of them chayiv. So Gemara is saying, if you say that the waiter was adding on to what his boss told him to do, so Mashumachi Balabayas mal, because of that, the Balabayas was mal, because he said, the Balabayas said, give him 1 piece of meat. The waiter went and gave him 2. So by giving them 2, clearly, and we're saying that he's over on Meila, clearly that means that he was doing what the boss wanted, and he added on his own. But Eliyamar Mavar al Dvarav Havi. But if you say that when the shliach, in this case the waiter, didn't listen to his boss, so that means that it's totally we wipe out whatever it is that he was told. So Balabais, why should the Balabais be over on Meila? The guy didn't listen to him. So We learned in the Mishna, Hashliach she'asa shlichusay, balabayis mal. If shliach that does the shlichus, right? Then the balabayis was over on mila. Lo yasa shlichusay. But if he didn't do the shlichus, meaning he didn't do what he was told, he did it differently, and then the same case and it ends up being that, meaning the balabayis told him, he told him to go again. The same case. He told him to give out food. And if he listened exactly to what his balabas said, and then it comes out that it's meat, so he's over on mila. But if not. So, right. So Elamai must be from this case that they're all over on mila. Must be that tells us that if a person, a shliach, does not do the proper shlichus, so then he's going to be chayiv. Right? I mean, it's going to be, they're all part of the same shlichus. And therefore, it's not considered a bittul. So Gemara says, no, that's not a raya. We're not talking about it. We're talking about where he said to them, take one piece because the balabais said to take a piece. And I'm giving you on my own an extra piece. And all of you give 3. Right. So now, since the shliach, the waiter said, take a piece based on the balabais, so therefore that was an automatic shlichus of the balabais. Meaning the Gemara's havamina, he didn't tell them this is what the balabas said to do. He just told them take 2 pieces. Now we're saying no. The reason why the balabas is chayiv is because he gave him 1 piece, and then he said the balabais said to take 1 piece. He decided to give him 2 pieces, and then they took a third. So therefore, they're all chayiv on meila. Fine. So Tashima thing. Tashima. If her kesuba was 100, right? The second case in our Mishna, her kesuba was worth 100, and she sold the land worth 100 plus an extra dinar for 100. So mechra batal, the whole mechira is batal. Why? My love, the zavin shavim mana, the dinar b'mana, the zavin shavim mana, the dinar b'mana, the dinar. Right? What are we talking about? She sold the field that was worth 100. And a dinar for another 100 and a dinar, right? So meaning she sold it for the regular price that it was. Umay b'mana. So then, what does it mean that it was 100? So it's mana shalah. It's 100. She sold it, meaning it was her mana. So my afilu. And what's the afilu? Afilu hi emeres achzer as a dinar liyarshim. Even if she says she'll sell the dinar to the yarshim, the dinar. It's the dinar from her karka, and we learned that the mechira is batal, right? Meaning it comes out that because in that case she sold a little too much, right? So again, we said in our case she is the shliach because these yarshim owe her money. She's the shliach. She went and sold it for a little too much money. Since she sold it for too much money, so then therefore the whole mechira is batal. So you see that when the shliach sells for too much, it's batal. So Amar Rav Huna, brother of Nasan, loy. No, that's not what we're talking about. With the Aizl, we're talking about where she sold the field for cheaper, right? On Talmud Aleph, right? So the Gemara says that's the case. The Sefer with the Aizl, but the Sefer is talking about where she sold it too cheap. Habi Reisha, but the Aizl, and the Reisha is talking about
turn right on State Route 7.
Not rocket science where you have to go. You got to go to 70.
Yeah.
And then you got to go and stay. Sorry. Yeah. So Havi Reisha but the Loy Oizel. The Reisha is talking about if the Sefer is talking about where she sold it too cheap, then the Sefer is talking about where it was sold not too cheap. The Katani Sefer. If the Sefer says if the kesuba was worth 400, and she sold the first 3 fields for a mana. An extra dinar. So the last one, the mechira is batal. But the first 3, the mechira is kayim. So that seems to be talking about a case where she sold it for too cheap, right? So the Gemara says it can't be. So the Gemara answers, "Loi, Reisha and Sefer the Eisel." Reisha and Sefer both talking about where she didn't get enough money for the fields. The Sefer Hakamash Malan. The Sefer is teaching us time at the Eisel with the Yasmi. The reason is because she did too cheap for the assignment, but for her, the meaning if it's coming out of her sale, then the mechira is going to work. We're just in the middle of this. Okay, let's just finish a few more lines. So the Gemara says, if you learned it out from the Reisha, if her kesuba was 200, and then she sold a field worth 100 for 200, then her kesuba is accepted, right? And this is when obviously she was not selling it for the right amount of money. So then, why does the Mishna have to tell us twice that if the almana sells the property for the wrong amount, then it doesn't affect her, right? Meaning she got what she got and finished. So the one answers Mal the same. There we're talking about where she's leaving that house totally, right? Meaning if the kesuba was the field was worth 200, the kesuba is worth 200. So that's it. She's done. There's nothing else for her to handle. But here, maybe we should make a gzeira from the first mana to the last mana. That the Mishna is teaching us that we don't. Right? And therefore, in all these cases, we don't care what the almana did. If she messed it up, she's not responsible. And if she made money on it, she's also not going to gain from it, right? And again, that's how we apply it back case where the shliach is never really, according to most, but certainly our Mishna, the shliach is never going to gain. Is never going to gain from all this. Yeah. Okay. I hope that was semi-understandable. And all right, that's it.
Yeah.
Have yourselves a fine mayat, those that are having schnapps and cigars and whatever else it is.
L'chaim,
Jacob, same time tomorrow night?
Should be same time tomorrow night, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the Yankees are playing tomorrow night, Roman. I don't know if that's going to affect you.
Yeah, but they might be rained out though.
Oh yeah, I hear.
Supposed to report tomorrow.
All right. Well, you'll find out, right?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Right.
Good night.
All right, drive safe. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.